Audi gives us our first look at a 2026 F1 car from a proper Formula One team. This is going to be their first technically year in the sport in this new regulation period. A team that has a lot of motorsport history and has delivered upon being in motorsports. There's obviously a lot of excitement around this team. We're going to go over the car and really what to expect with this team within the upcoming months before their first actual test. And this will give us a better idea of these 2026 F1 cars aerodynamically, what they're going for. So if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Would mean the world to me. We're close to that 100K marker. It means a lot that we're even getting close to it. Thank you all for the support. Let's get started with this Audi video. Now, looking at this R26 concept, and that is important to grasp that it is a concept car, so the aerodynamics on this car aren't very important. We're going to see a completely different car in January. It just gives us a little bit of a better idea of what's changed from the last FI model we saw. There's even better renders with people already making different aerodynamic shapes on these cars with the rule set that's been put out. But the livery itself, I think, is beautiful. If it stays like this, I mean, they're going to have a bunch of sponsors onto it, but I love this play on silver and red with the black and red on the rear wing as well. To me, very Audi, and they stuck to that colorway. I'm wearing the Alfa Romeo shirt right now. Kind of matches with it, it just needs silver. So when that Audi shirt drops, definitely picking it up. Let's go over a couple of the differences. So as I said, this is a concept. I'm not going to go too much into it. There's not too much to read into. They have changed a little bit of the nose shape rather than that flat nose that the FI ended up giving us. And from here, very obviously, we can see that they have a pull rod front suspension, which is put on the FIA car, but you can see a bit of a glitch in the suspension arm on the left. It's actually not there, but then you see it on the right. It's pretty odd. And the actual layout itself on the Audi concept car is a bit different. Now, it depends on where you're actually picking up the images. There's a couple of different renders they've put out of this car. The front wing that I've picked up on the render is a bit different here. You can see slight modifications to the front wing in comparison to that of the FIA one. Like that middle connector line on the front wing, I love the shape that they've done. They look like the 2006 cars, which is my favorite looking front wings. And this gives you a better picture as well of the nose cone shape being a bit sharper and not as flat nosed like the FIA one. And in this picture, you can see a different shape in the chords of the front wing, being a little bit more flat, almost looking like a little bit of a low downforce wing from this angle. And it does give you a great look of the front suspension as well. As I said, pull rod, not much to read into that. Maybe that's what they're running though. There is a very big possibility of that. We've just read that Ferrari is going to run a push rod in the rear suspension and possibly the front. Now here we can see from this angle on the front wing of the FIA, that little winglet on the top is slightly smaller, and you can see Audi's modified it to give it a bit more upwash to go over that wheel and go into what was being called a control board. It's a very in-wash concept that's important to note. And also on the wheel rims, I like better how we can see it on Audi's car. There's not really like an aerodynamic gain here, but I just like the look of it much more than that of the FIA car. Something I also forgot to mention, which is very interesting to me, is that the wing mirrors have actually been modified from that of the FIA car. And you can see a little bit of playing around to help the flow go over the side pods, but the side pods are completely the same. This is where I think we're going to see a complete difference in most of these cars. As I talked about, here's that control board, pretty much the same as the FIA car. And the biggest change here between these two cars is the engine cover. You can see that downwashing concept, and it is much more slimmed out, just like we see it on right now the McLaren in 2025. And there is no more Venturi tunnel, so you can see a bit under that floor, and you can see how much flatter it actually is. And it very similar towards the back of the floor before we get to the diffuser, there are some opened shapes. Just like we've seen on the 2021 cars, this will be played around a lot from teams to extract performance. Actually, a very critical part of the floor. Now, the biggest change is in the rear. This is really the only spot that I've seen them kind of modify, and we haven't truly seen a good rear picture of the 2026 car. First of all, I love the light. Hopefully it stays circular like that. Almost fits this concept car. And as you can see, there is a slight little beam wing towards the bottom. The diffuser is much smaller, and that Coke bottle shape is slimmed out as much as possible, which I'm wondering if it's going to stay like that on their real car. The actual rear wing itself will not see too many modifications in this new era of Formula One. We'll probably see about 3 to 4 concepts, maybe like a slightly low downforce, medium, and high downforce, but not as much modifications as we saw in the previous set of regulations. We can also see some slight modifications to that rear suspension, but there's not too much to read into from here. And the work around the brake ducts looks pretty similar to me of the FIA car, even if you can barely see it. Regardless, this is the spot they picked to have the most impact on in this concept car. Binotto has now recently spoken to the media that their goal is by 2030 to become champions. Pretty bold, but I'm excited to see what Audi can do. This event told us a couple of things. With Audi now showing us their 2026 concept car and giving us a better idea of what the cars are going to look like in this next regulation period, even with it being their first concept, this event now does confirm to us the full acquisition of Sauber's F1 team, completing the transition of the Swiss Alpha into a works operation under the Audi name. This process obviously started in 2022 when they announced their Formula One plans. We saw that car and livery concept even back then. But now the structure will link Audi's power unit, which we will discuss in a little bit, with Sauber's chassis and really the race team operations, allowing them both to work as one under the name Audi. And the car assembly and race operations will be held in Switzerland in Sauber's base, while the power unit will be worked on in Germany as the center for the hybrid system development. There have also been some recent discussions, Jonathan Wheatley talking about the power unit and everything working out correctly so far. From what we've heard and really the rumored reports, they're a little bit down, but not as much as expected, which is a good sign for the Audi project. It's going to be their first time developing a power unit for F1, so to expect them fighting for podium would be pretty crazy. But at the very least, doing a launch event like this, having it all together, is a very good sign for the Audi F1 team. And considering most of the reports about the engine were negative in the start, I think this is a good thing for Audi, even hearing the slightest bit of good news, even if they're a little down, making their own F1 power unit for the first time. That's going to do it for today. This was a very big and cool event. I'm glad that we've finally seen something on these 2026 F1 cars, because it's been pretty silent for the most part. In 22, we saw a already kind of made car and the FIA put it out on track. All the drivers analyzed it. We didn't see that with the 2026 cars. So Audi finally gave us our first look for these cars in this new regulation period. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you all for stopping by. Please leave a like, subscribe, it'd mean the world, and peace.